a little different today. Also doing major work on my street today, which I didn't really anticipate. So it's kind of been one of those Mondays. It's nice that they're replacing all these water mains and stuff, but yeah, sometimes that means your water pressure isn't quite what you really are normally used to. Okay, so yeah, I had to table some projects for the day, which I was not exactly thrilled about, but it is what it is, right? But I did get some other things done, although it's kind of been, I wouldn't say like that rainy day feel, but kind of like a cozy day feel, especially as the season is shifting into the fall and stuff. So, yeah, I'm using my headphones so I can hear you guys. I'll show you real quick. Maybe if my cord's long enough. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think you can see it from here. I'm using that Zoom thing again. Interface. It's, I ordered it off of Facebook, and it's on the streaming setting. Okay. But it's for music and streaming. So like this is my regular, performance microphone, which is my, dynamic pattern microphone. Sorry, it's gonna, so you can see. It's an Audix OM5. That is mine. I'm not a Shure 58 gal or a beta. Okay, so get it right. OM5. I once was in a group with a guy that had an operating vocal. Okay. There's so many brands out there that are actually good and stuff, and I'm not saying Shure isn't. But from a professional standpoint, this is my preference. Oh, my number one fan's back. That's what they said the other day, right? Until I give you the reading of your nightmares, right? Hopefully not today, right? Hopefully not today. Hopefully we stay in a good groove, right? Oh, well, I was commenting the other day on Facebook. One of my former coworkers, she had a nice little collage put together of Rick Springfield. Okay, and I mean, this girl's been crazy about Rick Springfield as long as I've known her, and before then, right? So I had to type in there. I was like, I really do think you are his number one fan. Like, if they had the fan club in the 80s, like, and she wasn't busy, delivering newspapers and all that stuff her and her sister were doing, because, yeah. They kind of fended for themselves is their story. But when you're in a large group of kids, there's only so much to go around, right? And then you gotta get a little enterprising, right? So well, thank you. Bassie says hello as well. Oh, Les Claypool, all the way from Atlanta. Good to see you, right? Maro Roberts says, hi, I'm new. Hey. Actually seen Les Claypool live in my area. There is a massive festival, and one of the years that he played there, I've actually seen him there twice, I believe. One was with his Primus group, and one was the Lennon Claypool experience. I'm Christian. Gracias. Somebody saying hola from Brazil. Wonderful. All right, let's go ahead and get started. It says, I need to figure myself out. This person, might be not in communication because of what? The big question. Like, why am I here? What am I doing? You know what I mean? Hopefully everyone woke up refreshed from the weekend on Monday with, renewed purpose, right? And sometimes we need a little break in order to find out how that is. So this person could even need to take a sabbatical or something, just for as a, I once submitted for a leave of absence at work and it was denied. Whatever, but hey, that's their problem, right? At that point, it's like they chose to just terminate the relationship. So it's like, okay. Well, and I wasn't asking for it to be paid. I was like, maybe, because at the time I was struggling with some of the medication that they were trying to prescribe to me because it was just like make the food run through. Like the other day, I was talking about the movie White Chicks, that bathroom scene. It was like I was running, and I was working from home still. And it was like I was running to the bathroom like three times a day in the morning, and it was just like very annoying. And it's like, this is kind of miserable, right? But that's what was covered by insurance, right? And this is what everyone else is taking. So you figure why, right? Anyway, so yeah, sometimes we need a little space, and that's completely healthy to do that. Okay. I need to figure myself out, right? From a holistic point of view. Okay. All right. What is that? Interesting. Okay. I didn't realize there was like a YouTube emoji you could put in there. Somebody says, I cannot promise you anything, right? And you know what? Sometimes we get caught up in that, right? Because people come in with little promises and whimsy, and then those become the stuff of our nightmares, right? But it depends, are you there also stoking the fire, or did you abandon ship? So, you know what I mean? It's kind of like you have to balance it out as well. I think a lot of people maybe that are in this position here think somebody's just going to come in and you know what I mean? Figure everything out for them. And it's just not going to happen. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. Crying at night. So if this person, this is the Lover's Oracle deck, by the way. Okay. So this is kind of a romance reading today, a little bit, starting here, but, if this person is upset or whatever, yeah, it maybe is because they haven't quite figured this out yet. Maybe they need just a break from whatever. Maybe they need to, do a little career shift. I remember when I was trying to get all this medicine stuff figured out, and then anyway, and I think I asked them if I could go part-time, for a while, or if, and that was just completely shut down. And then I was like, well, what about, is there anything, maybe available? I mean, like I was trying to work with them, what I mean, before trying to sever the relationship. And then, my, my dad had some medical appointments, and I'm the only, what I mean? I'm their only child. So, I decided to, take that time and go assist him with that because, he's a diabetic and he had an infected freaking tooth. So it's kind of a big deal. Anyway, I could probably complain to the state about that. I heard they made a law that you're supposed to be able to leave for any kind of medical emergency to take care of a relative without, because that was like the final straw. And then I got like a text that said, oh, hey, this is your boss. Check your email. Whatever, I feel lonely. Yeah, maybe they do feel lonely without you, collective, because maybe you were the one cleaning up their poop, right? Sometimes, yeah, we are the pooper scooper deluxe, right? Moms know that, right? Has anybody kept a diaper count out there? I'm just saying. Well, that's your job. See, not today. Not on my channel. Okay? Go feel lonely about it, right? We're in the world of actually needing to accomplish shit. Right? You'll see these water mains over the years because of the age of our town, and we live in that type of climate, and la 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 la. Okay? So, they're always at work. Go feel lonely about it, or be, or do you want to be broke? Right? Right? He's not giving me enough attention. Well, do you want, which is it? This one guy, I know that I went to school with. He said something about this girl that he was like on, off, on, off. It was just like, ugh, one of those. And he said something about her camming. And I was like, hmm. But some of these people that just want to sit around and do nothing with their lives, and they get lonely. Right? Mm-hmm. Just saying. Just saying. And then that becomes a, free love situation, right? Not everybody's into that. Okay. I just posted this thing from YouTube. It was this clip, and they were talking about the flappers of the 20s. And they were talking about how free love became the discussion of the day, the hot topic. Well, what are people labeling that as now? Open relationships, polyamory. Well, guess what? Your granny back in 1920, if she was even born yet, knew all about that too. And the liquor and the music and the short skirts and the dancing. It's the panic. It's a panic. By the way, did you see there's something about beef made in grown in Mexico and Central America having some issues? So please do research that if you're a beef eater. Okay. Yeah, message held for review. DJ says, does love cost money? Did I miss something? For some people it does, right? And that's what I'm saying is they get the wrong idea about their loneliness. Okay? It becomes, searching for Mr. Goodbar instead of what's good for you in terms of moving forward, right? Have you ever seen that movie? Okay. Yeah, loneliness can get you, and that was based on a true story, ladies and gentlemen. New York City back in the day. Okay. Used to be a very rough place. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. Yeah. Yeah, painful memories. So it's not that we're trying to live in La La Land, right? It's just that we're trying to make better choices as we move forward. Okay. Who's a rascal over there? Little Rascals? Anybody seen that one? Alrighty then. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is it over? They want to know. So if, for some of you, if you're on a break or they're on a break and it's going to be okay, so is this the breakup? You know what I mean? Still living in the same house, but not, you know what I mean? And some people, they try and stick around because they think you're going to change your mind. And you're like, no. So, in those cases, you might need to get the law involved, right? Yeah. Call the sheriff, call an attorney, whatever you have to do. Yeah. The bug man came and sprayed my house today. Why do I deserve someone like you? Isn't that what Adele said? Never mind, I'll find someone like you. Oh, Vernon, are you being a vermin today, honey? Oh, dear. Oh, dear. I'm so not sorry to block you off my channel. Okay. Oh, who's ever ridden the bus and gotten bullied? It's just about the same, isn't it? Oh. Right? Okay. That was on one of my list of jobs. Also was bus driver. Hairdresser, bus driver, doctor, lawyer. Those were the four that I always had. And then I might have thrown teacher in there at a later time. Right? But, we can all be teachers, right, of kindness to each other, don't you think? Your voice is, well, honey, why are you watching? You know what I'm saying? This is what I don't really understand about, this is where it's then go feel lonely. I don't, it's not bothering me. All right. Pardon my gulp. God forbid. I mean, it's like some of y'all never went to college and saw some of these frat guys. Y'all never been nowhere before or what? Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, even Melanie knows what's going on. Do you know what I'm saying? Melanie, Miss Melanie Hamilton of the la la la. You're right, you know, all that stuff. So, do you know what I'm saying? She's like, right, when I say we were talking about cleaning up poop earlier, she's like, no, she's like, I'll clean it up. Because Scarlett killed him. I mean, she's like, whew. And then they had to drag him out and then bury him in the backyard. And then Melanie's like, well, I can chip in on this, right? And remember how she told the cover story? She said, I thought you Sky's cleaning her. Right. Which, I mean, is very likely. I mean, I've seen videos of people doing that, cleaning there, and like they didn't realize there was still, yeah, I think that was part of the line, something about a rifle in the around in the chamber. Olivia de Havilland, by the way. Okay. Whose sister was also an actress, Joan Fontaine. Okay. If you ever watch movies with those in them, you'll notice the similarity in their appearance. However, they are both very good actresses. So, yeah. If you didn't know, I'm like one of those Turner Classic Movie type Hollywood movie buff person. Well, you know, TJ, if you have to go fart outside, you got to go fart outside. That's the polite thing to do, right? Right? Okay. Why do you think your mother was trying to chase you out of the house all the time? She wanted you little fart knockers in there stinging up her house all the time. Terrapin, this is the Ace of Pentacles, y'all. The good news on the way. Earth signs too, Virgo. We are smack dab right now getting started into, yeah, it's kind of like that. Cross those I's and dot those T's, Virgo season. Happy birthday to any Virgos out there. Also, happy birthday, or not, yeah, I mean, happy recovery to my one friend who's in the hospital that recently had some back surgery. So, you know, if anybody knows anything about being laid up, okay, sometimes that's the time for us to dream and then receive. And the Ace of Pentacles is very much something about receiving abundance, receiving joy, receiving things that are going to help us and propel us forward, okay? So this might be one of those things, collective, that if you happen to be feeling this way, that might be getting you over the hump of that, of like the where's my purpose on a Monday, right? Or where's my purpose on a Tuesday, whatever day it is where you clock in, you're like, you know, I'm here, okay? I mean, for 18 years, I was clocking in a corporate job, you know? I worked for some small businesses before then. I've bartended. Which shoe do you always tie first? You know what? Term. I don't always wear shoes that have laces, FYI. Sometimes wear a lot of slip-on sandals. Like those Skechers slip-ons, you know? Has anybody bought those, like, where you just slip in and it, like, clicks? Has anyone tried those? I thought those were pretty cool looking. You know? Especially if you did, like, can you imagine, you know, you just had back surgery. You can't just be, like, bending over willy-nilly, you know, just kind of, like, slide into something like that. Yeah. Getting some, yeah, exactly. Get your motor running. Oh, my God, what was I watching the other day? And it was, like, one of those British mysteries, and he's like, well, I need you to drive me, whatever. And then they get in the car and they're following somebody, right? And then they're sitting there and they had to turn the car back on, and it's like wouldn't turn over. It's like, I was yelling at the TV. I'm like, this is why you got to maintain your vehicle. You know? Can't just be letting stuff go to pot. All right. Yeah, Scorpio death card. Here it is called the River. Okay. Which I think is a nice illustration of, Earth. Scorpio, I feel like, even though Scorpio is a water sign, I feel like Scorpio is very closely related, right, to the Earth signs because a scorpion walks on the ground. So it sees this and it sees that and it sees it. Right, and then sometimes they have to cover down and protect themselves because I right. Right. The Southwesterners, right? The Southwestern transplants will warn you about that. Watch out for the scorpions, they say. Right. If you're down under, it's the other creepy crawly things. So yeah. Thank God they just did my perimeter spray today. They sprayed for two different, they sprayed the mosquitoes, so I can sit outside a little bit, you know what I mean, without having it like completely sprayed in. And they also sprayed, just like insect, right? Perimeter stuff. Be real, that's all we're asking. Absolutely, Elsa Olsen. I think that is a wonderful sentiment. And for the folks that can't, right, you got to move on. And maybe it's time to call it on that relationship. You're like, well, this little river town is fun. I'm going to head on to the next one, if you don't mind, right? Or maybe you're more the salmon swimming upstream. Maybe you're going on vacation. It's Labor Day weekend is approaching. There's going to be a lot of campers on the road, a lot of RVs, motorhomes, all that stuff on the road. So be careful if you're traveling, right? Yeah. To be real, right? Who sings that one? All right. Pisces, the blues card in this deck. All right. So Pisces, also a water sign, very interesting, coming out right after Scorpio. Okay. Represented in the tarot, though, as the Hangman, right? So, yeah, feel lonely. Well, if you're just hanging out by yourself, maybe that's the case, right? And if you figured yourself out and what you want and what you don't want, then maybe you're maybe you're like, I don't want that loneliness anymore. Maybe that's what this person is saying. I don't want to be lonely anymore. Mm-hmm. We also had a new moon, okay, and the water signs are very reflective of the moon cycles, okay, yeah. Okay, let's see what else we have here. So collective, I feel like in the meantime, this person has been kind of singing the blues a little bit to express their loneliness. But, some of that is self-imposed, right? There's a lot of folks that are out there at self-sabotage. So it's like, well, you can get up and get going or let somebody else take it. You know what I mean? Because somebody will step up. Somebody will do good or bad, right? Eventually that will cycle out and happen, right? So it's like, how long do you want to stay there? Right? Yeah, Scorpio's like, yeah, not me, right? Scorpio's like, yeah, I already done transformed. Right? Yeah. All right, let's get one more here, and then we're coming up. Remember, I did post out if anyone's requesting a personal reading, to follow the link that way, okay? Because, as my schedule varies, I don't know when I'm going to be able to turn up at some of these events, to be honest. So, because that's a nice time to get reads through quickly and everything. But I am thinking about doing a live sesh, doing like a donation thing. For maybe I'll just do that like on Cash App or something. Maybe I'll just do it only on Cash App. Most people have Cash App, I think, these days. that are online anyway. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. My links are listed, and the instructions for that are listed in the main. Justice. Yeah, fire of the sword here, right? Not a fire sign, an air sign, right? But what requires fire? Air. Have you been in science class? Do you know what happens if you cover a little flame? Yes. If you cover a little flame, such as this one, right here. Yes. Yes. If you cover the little flame, you know, with a jar, okay, see what happens. If you do not know, I suggest you try it as an experiment, maybe even as an experiment outside, so your mother doesn't have to yell at you for playing with matches or lighters or anything inside the house. Right. So for some of you, is it over? Yeah, it's like the divorce papers are getting signed. It's like the whatever is happening. The court proceedings are occurring. It's like the train kept a rolling all night long, right? And trust me, the thieves keep a rolling all night long. Just like there was somebody in our neighborhood had somebody rifling through their vehicles last night. There's always those little fingers, right, wanting to test you. Okay, so you have to stay vigilant, right? It's and you know how it is. It's time, as Halloween approaches and things like that, people like to get a little extra prankstery, Not that I would know anything about that. However, in what way? All right. Let's do y'all some meditation cards. I think this will be good to start the week. So, I heard attention, but it's intention, right? Okay, so everything that you do, right? What's your intention behind it, right? Have you ever sat and thought about that? Whoa, man, right? Or you just kind of going through the motions, right? Well, I'm doing this because, I have to pick up the kids. Okay, I get that. We all have schedules and we all have regimented things and, things that we've chosen to be a part of our life, right? But you got to look at it from the bigger picture sometimes, right? And maybe what worked for you the last 6 months or the last year isn't going to work for you this year because, maybe so-and-so is going to this school and then that one's going to this school over there. And, maybe your husband's working across town and do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, sometimes stopping and setting a little intention, is, and you can even do that through like prayer, right? And say like, universe, God, spirit in the sky, you know what I'm saying? Right? Right? Okay. Let's have a good day today. Okay. We can do it. You can do it. Right? Okay. Where's the, I don't know if what is that from now? I can't remember. Some of these movies I've seen like in pieces, you know what I mean? Like the other night they had Rodney Dangerfield Back to School on TV. So I was watching it. And the very beginning, like I don't really remember, cause it was like the movie starts in black and white and I'm like, what is this? And I looked, it's like Back to School, Rodney Dangerfield. I'm like, okay, well I know I've seen this before, but, yeah, so I don't know. There was one, I actually saw that in the movie theater, and if you saw it in the theater, you know what happened in the movie theater. Everyone was like, ah, cause anyway, right? It's like, oh, it's not my sister's boobs. Okay, right, exactly. Right. Light worker. Okay, so yeah, part of this abundance, part of this figuring yourself out might be that like you're a light worker of some kind. Oops. Stumble. See, one setting, then has this. Okay. So it's kind of showing, like, if you didn't, like, have some fancy ring light or something, like, you can use something real simple, for your lighting and stuff, like. And I was just kind of, because I did a very short video the other day, and the lights afterwards, it was just kind of irritating, and I'm like, I don't know how healthy it is to be staring at those ring lights like that. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, can you... Any entertainment topic? Well, I don't know if something happens to come through as the channeling Jesse Pinkman. We'll see. I don't typically, if anything, it's just kind of like I'm just talking about it in passing. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Anybody remember the Glamour magazine, the Glamour do's and don'ts? It was like, oh. Like, when your worst fear as a child, as a young woman, is appearing in the Glamour don't, section, like, ah! Like, as if random paparazzi were just going to be following us around all the time, snapping pictures of our clothes, because we're all, like, in New York City or something. Right? Just like everyone talking about that quicksand. You know what I'm saying? So talking about entertainment, right? If you watch a lot of the shows that we grew up with, yeah, that was always, even on Scooby-Doo, I'm pretty sure Scooby-Doo got into quicksand and the gang, right, got into quicksand more than one occasion. All right, gratitude. So yeah, having gratitude for fun things like, Scooby-Doo and movies and, yeah, like I watched or he does the triple Lindy. Melon. Yes. And then they won and everyone was happy. And then all of a sudden it wasn't, oh, I'm embarrassed of my dad being at school with me. It was, hey, I'm pretty happy that my dad's at school with me. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay, so having gratitude for that, learning experience, shared togetherness, right? And recognizing the passing of time, right? Not being ahistorical. I think, so here, okay, yeah, it's kind of like this weird dichotomy, conundrum, whatever you want to call it, where we're being asked to be present, right? But our technology is such that it's like expecting us to be in a presence that we cannot maintain at a human. It didn't start out in the corporate world where I was working. Like, we had desktops at work. Like, we were not taking our laptops home every day when I first started working there. If we had overtime, we were actually paid for overtime. And we actually came into the office to do it on a Saturday or a Sunday or whatever day it was. Okay. We weren't, taking these laptops home with us all the time. And then after the laptops got home, then it became, no, now you have an app on your phone. So now you can look at your emails constantly. Right? From your phone, right? Lotus Notes, okay. So it's like an illusion of connectedness, all right, that almost causes us wanting to escape that moment, but yet in order for us to live fully, we need to be present in the moment. Okay. And it's very interesting to me that, I would go into these meetings and they had this little thing that said, be present. Doing that, and then your supervisor is working on an emergency thing with one of your coworkers, like right through the whole meeting. You're like, okay, well, I guess that doesn't really fly over here in this department. You know what I'm saying? So and then it becomes trying to push blood from a stone. All right. So it's like, you know what? Maybe you need to be grateful for what you got out of me, and that's good. Okay. And then you have to start telling people, look, I can't promise you anything because, you know what I mean? It's like going these guys that worked, these hard construction jobs after 40 years and be like, yeah, you just whip this over. Like, people don't move at the same rate as they used to, like that, with all the experience. Okay. So, go. So if somebody's making so this is coming really weirdly through, like in a contractual, like work site job type way where somebody's like trying to overpromise, right? It's always overpromise. And then what happens? Undeliver. And then who gets blamed for it? It's never the guy who overpromised. That fucking guy gets a promotion. That cocksucker. Isn't that right? Corporate way. Oh, I guess those kind of metrics don't really matter when you're, at a certain level of things anyway. So cute, isn't it? Yeah, I've seen Silkwood. I've seen it! Anyway. Grounding. Like, I don't want to be all riled up on a Monday, right? Okay, so how do you do grounding? We're like, what is grounding? How do I go grounding? Literally going out and putting your feet on a natural surface, be it wood, grass, dirt, sand. Maybe you only got concrete. I get it. Okay. But, try and get to a park or something. Right. Maybe, don't wear your shoes in the house. I know for some folks, balance might be an issue with your footwear and stuff. You can do like indoor shoes and outdoor shoes, right? A lot of folks do that, right? Okay, so, all right, it's coming out on top. Renewal, yeah. So, for some people, solitude brings, loneliness. For other people, it brings renewal and says, I'm ready to come back to work. I'm out of my vacation mode. I'm out of blah, 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 or whatever it is. Right. And also I feel like if for some reason you don't have somebody to talk to at the moment, right? You're like, look, therapy's expensive. I get it. You're like, the last friend I talked to about, I get it. My husband, I get it. Right. Okay. So yeah, you have to start looking for things that are actually going to renew you. Okay. Maybe that's reading. Maybe that is journaling. Okay. Where it's kind of like, dear diary, today, take 10 minutes doing that. That's all you got to do. Do it the first thing you wake up or last thing before you go to sleep at night. Yeah, Johnny, that's not quite what we're after over here. So I need to, maybe, I think Johnny is in the spin zone. Patrick, THC and cannabis products are legal in my state. Yes, that is correct. So it's, for us, it's the same as going into any liquor store. Yeah, it's not like a big deal. Yeah, love the one you're with. So this person is saying, is it over? Could really seriously be in love, could actually want to walk it down the aisle instead of seeing it go up in flames. Since this is an outcome, yeah, I feel like this is actually a fairly good place to leave this message today. Right. So, definitely, especially if you're an earth sign, Virgo, focus on the abundance coming towards you. You're getting this because you've been stable. Okay. You're getting this because you're operating out and what you want to accomplish. Right. You're not saying, oh yeah, I can give you that. Oh yeah, I can give it. When you can't deliver on none of it, right? So this, I can't promise you anything. Start with making a promise to yourself, right? You ever hear of goal setting? You're going to an interview and someone's like, where do you want to be in 5 years? Well, how about where you want to be next month? Where you want to be in 6 months? Where you want to be in a year? You know, or do you want to be in the same living situation? Do you want to be in the same career? Some of these transitions take time, right? So just like the death card, right? Yeah. And it's like, oh, and then you marry me, and then my what was that? I was on Roseanne the other day. I don't know if it was a repeat or whatever, but I had it on, and yeah, Darlene is like describing the process of decomposition to this kid, and Becky is like horrified. She's like, she's like, they went to heaven. And Darlene's like, you can't lie to them. It was so funny, you guys, but I don't know why. That's why what this card is reminding me about. But you know, the death card, the scorpionic energy, is about transformation, accepting what is. So when somebody's saying, is it over? Sometimes that's because, you know, we've accepted the state of what is, right? You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not going to run around and measure myself against all these other people that aren't doing the same thing as me. What a concept, right? So, you know, how about start by promising yourself that love, right? Because I can tell you that feeling of loneliness will surely subside, right? And then, right, in turn, yeah, feeling, right, renewed. Okay. So, yeah, showing a little gratitude in the morning or even right before you go to sleep. Say, I'm thankful for this bed. I'm thankful for this roof over my head. I'm thankful everyone is at home. Whatever it takes. Okay. You don't have to be religious, right, to do that. I know some folks out there, especially online, are really against, you know, organized religion. And I understand because I've had some experiences myself. Okay. That being said, it's a practice. Okay. So that's why people say it's like a, you know, developing your own spiritual wellness practice type. Okay. Okay. So, you know, when you're holding the light, right? And then you're like, oh, silly me. Yeah, right. It's like, this thing wasn't on. Here we go. Come on, guys. I got it. I got it right here. Right? And all you're doing is lighting it so they can see. So they can see what you're about. Right? So they know whether they need to cross your path or not. Or they're like, maybe, well, yeah, that's not for us, right? And then it's like, okay, well, that's fine. This little light of mine, you're still going to let it shine. You know, it's like the trick-or-treaters that go door to door. Right? They come, they have fun, and then they go on their way. Toodaloo, right? Is anybody doing some big decorations for Halloween? I'm starting to kind of collect some things around the yard that I think could be transformed into Halloween decorations. And I know I have some things hiding in my garage. So, can you guys hear that out there? The cicadas. Oh, let's see. I'm going to turn that off. Okay. So, whoop. We're falling apart at the seams. Okay. That's a sign. Yeah. Anyway, hopefully you guys have a good week coming up. Hopefully you're able to get some things accomplished. Like, I want to get some things accomplished. Do you know what I'm saying? So, if you're in the chat today, please do like the video. Thank you, those of you who have already liked the video, the 7 of you, right? I see there's 3 still left in the chat. Okay. Look at this. Isn't this fun? One of my pesos left over from Mexico. You guys ever seen money from Mexico? From Mexico? Shows the monarch butterflies, which, oh my gosh. I mean, we used to have monarchs up here. Monarchs are native to North and Central America. And over the years, monarchs have actually, the population has definitely shifted from where I grew up, you know, and I don't know actual numbers, but the numbers have significantly declined where I live, where I was from. But yeah, so when I saw this was one of those, I was like, well, you know what? I like that monarch butterfly, so maybe I'll just keep this. You know what I mean? And it's 100 pesos, which is like, I think it's like the airport. Well, this was a while ago. It was maybe like 12-1 or something like that. So for those of you that want to go out and play with the conversion on that. And that's another thing you can research as well. How to convert money using fractions. Right. Okay. So, yeah, I'm looking here on the other side who this is supposed to be. Let me get out my little flashlight here. Okay. Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz, poeta y escritora, y el Colegio de San Ildefonso, representado el periodo histórico de la colonia. Ciudad de México, 15 of enero. Okay. 22 el año. Okay. Junta de Gobierno, signature, and Cajero Principal. Okay, interesting. It has like a little, you can see, it's like a, yeah. Through the window there, it has like a little, it's stamped here with the 100. So I thought that was interesting to share. So maybe, yeah, it's a little bright on the camera, but at least I can see it here. Yeah. So on the other side, the description of the monarch's ecosistema de bosques templados, reserva de la biosfera mariposa monarca en los estados de México y Michoacán de Ocampo, Patrimonio Natural de la Humanidad. So, all you little translators out there can understand that. I am certain. Yes, so a poet and writer. Interesting. Well, it's almost like, she almost looks like a nun, this Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz. So I'm going to have to do a little research on her, apparently, and hopefully so hopefully all you little escritorios out there, yes, taking notes in school and doing things like that, right? And writing your homework and maybe coloring on the fun free time you have, right? Bro, like, oh, doing more than coloring. I know how some of these neighborhood kids, they like to take advantage of every moment out of doors. I don't blame them, especially after sitting inside, right? Learning stuff. So do enjoy, be careful, and until next time, please manifest wisely. Bye.